How is it going, everyone? Here's my WWE NXT TakeOver WarGames 2019 review. Of course, NXT TakeOver WarGames took place live on the WWE Network to kick off Survivor Series weekend. And overall, I gotta say, what a show from NXT here tonight. They definitely went to war and produced a hell of a TakeOver WarGames because this was a spectacular show. Definitely one of the better TakeOvers this year, in my opinion. Not saying any TakeOvers this year have been bad, but if I had to rank it, it's definitely high up there. Probably number 2 or 3 spot, honestly. I know there's only like 5 or 4 takeovers a year, but I'd definitely rank it up as one of the better ones this year. And yeah, hell of a WarGames. I wouldn't say it's the best WarGames takeover we've had so far. I still think last year's takeover was just the best takeover WarGames we've gotten, but this one definitely is on par. Definitely was a fantastic show, and like I said, definitely was a hell of a way to kick off Survivor Series weekend. Now, before we get to the main show, we did, for the very first time ever, release a live one, have a NXT TakeOver pre-show. Yes, there was a pre-show they had prior to TakeOver, and here's the thing. They actually use this pre-show as an effective way to further storylines going to the show. It's not a big waste of time like most, kickoff shows are with the big pay-per-views where it's just panelists talking about the show for an hour. They actually use this as an efficient way to further storylines and further the show. Like on the pre-show, for example, they did an angle where Mia Yim got attacked backstage, so therefore she was taken out of the women's WarGames match. Of course, they, throughout the pre-show, they kind of wondered what was going to happen. And we did also have, for the very first time, a match on the TakeOver pre-show, which featured Isaiah Swerve Scott taking on Angel Garza. This was a fine match. You kind of expected a little better out of these two, but for what it was good. Some miscommunications. Some things just were not clicking. Some of the spots were just not, were kind of sloppy and kind of came off pretty crappy. But they worked a pretty good, pre-show match for the most part. Angel Garza is very, very impressive. The pants thing was over, but now it's over as usually here in Full Sail. He did a nice springboard where Isaiah went to, pretty much toss him over the ropes, but he did a springboard back and ended up catching him, putting him down to a huge Liger bomb, which I thought was a great spot. Isaiah Swerve Scott got a nice near fall to hit his finish in the back of the head for a near fall. And the outside, Scott gave Garza a double foot stomp onto the outside, which set up for his finish, which was a great spot there. But then Garza had to come back, some nice sequences toward the end, and Garza hit his finish for the 1-2-3 to defeat Isaiah Swerve Scott. So yeah, like I said, that was a good match on the pre-show. Just would have expected more though. I just felt like I said at some times it was just, it was pretty sloppy and definitely some miscommunications on both of them. So the match wasn't the best, but for what it was still a good match nonetheless. And then towards the end of the pre-show, we did find out that Dakota Kai will be replacing Mia Yim's spot in the Women's WarGames match. So that was pretty much the pre-show. It was pretty good. There were some technical difficulties, especially on Charlie Caruso's part, where she'd be like, "Oh, let's show you the tweet," and they wouldn't show the tweet for like another minute later, so it just got really awkward. Then Pat McFay, he was really entertaining. I know a lot of people were hating on him on the pre-show, but I thought he did a pretty good job, especially towards the end. We got everyone hyped up for the show. I thought he did a really good job on that part. So yeah, effective and efficient pre-show from NXT. Then of course I transitioned into the main show, which of course opened up with the Women's WarGames match. Of course, Team Baszler taking on Team Ripley. Of course, Team Baszler being Shayna Baszler, Bianca Belair, Kylie Rae, as well as Shirai taking on the team of Rhea Ripley, Candice LeRae, Tegan Nox, and of course now Dakota Kai replacing Mia Yim. They all come out, they all get in the cages, and of course the match starts off with Candice LeRae and Shirai. Overall, I gotta say, as a whole match, this was tremendous storytelling at its finest. This is how you use the WarGames. You go out there, you have people beat the shit out of each other, tell a tremendous story. There's a lot of twists and turns along the way. This was just a perfect way to start the show, and honestly, this was like the perfect match for this story as well. I thought everything about it was awesome, and I enjoyed every second of it. Of course, Team Ripley had the, not Team Ripley, I apologize, Team Baszler had the advantage, so as soon as the buzzer went off, Bianca Belair was the first person to enter the ring from the teams, and then Bianca Belair is just very dominant, and Candice just throwing her around like she was absolutely nothing, and just pretty much helping Io beat the shit out of her. Rhea Ripley comes into play. She throws a bunch of weapons in the ring, like chairs, kendo sticks, trash cans, pretty much everything that's not a table. She threw into the ring, so that happened, and then of course afterwards, who came out? Kaylee Ray, I apologize. She came out to enter the match as well, and then it came down to Tegan, not Tegan Nox, I apologize, Dakota Kai. Dakota Kai was going to enter the ring, but before she did that, all of a sudden Dakota Kai snaps and beats the holy hell out of Tegan Nox. I'm telling you, she beat the shit out of her. She beat her down in the corner. She slammed the goddamn cage door into her leg like 50,000 times, which just looks absolutely brutal. Brilliant turn by Dakota Kai. Like, obviously it was predictable. especially once the Mia Yim attack happened and she just happened to replace her, happened to be there to replace her. It was predictable, but it worked perfectly, and I loved absolutely every second of it, and I'm all for Dakota Kai as the heel. She, like I said, perfect heel turn in my opinion from her. Thus, that actually took her and Tegan Knox on the match, so it's actually ended up becoming more of a 4-on-2 handicap WarGames match. So Shayna Baszler laughs it off as she walks in the ring, enters it. So yeah, it's down to 2-4 in a handicap match pretty much. It's for Rhea Ripley and Candice LeRae to defend themselves, and I thought it was great. You know, you had a lot of great spots. You know, Kaylee Ray did a DDT off the ropes onto a steel chair. Candice LeRae hit a beautiful reverse rod on Io Shirai. Io Shirai ended up hitting a moonsault off the top of the cage at one point, which I thought was great. Just an all-out brawl, and I thought it told an awesome story, and I love the finish even more. Some chairs were set up. Shayna Baszler had Rhea Ripley into the choke, but Rhea Ripley ended up handcuffing, because earlier in the match she got handcuffed on one wrist, or she got handcuffs, I apologize, I forgot which one it was, as she handcuffed herself, and she handcuffed Shayna Baszler, and as Baszler's like, oh shit, Baszler tried to kick her, but Ripley ducked perfectly into the riptide, hits the riptide onto a stack of chairs. 1, 2, 3, Rhea Ripley and Candice LeRae walk out of this match the War Game winners. Like I said, hell of a match, and definitely was a hell of a way to kick off the show. Love the story, love the turn, love the finish as well. I thought the riptide and the chair, especially the way it was played out with the handcuffs, and just perfectly transitioned into it. Everything about the match I thought was perfect, and I thought it was a tremendous way to kick off War Games. So yeah, tremendous stuff there. Definitely happy. And Rhea Ripley, man, the last couple days she's definitely been made to a star. So yeah, love that match. And then of course after that we go to the number one contenders triple threat match for the NXT Championship at Survivor Series. Of course, the winner facing Adam Cole for the NXT Championship at Survivor Series tomorrow night. Pete Dunne, Damian Priest, and of course Killian Dain. This was a very good triple threat match. My only complaint was I felt it went way too long. I understand they didn't want to beat any of these guys in 10 minutes. You know, this match was like 20 plus over minutes. But, you know, I got to the point where the match just felt like it was dragging on, and just, I don't know. I stopped really caring and enjoying it at that point, but it was still very fun for what it was. You know, the match is pretty much 3 singles matches in one, where everyone just tried to beat the shit out of each other. It wasn't like 2 guys were fighting, the other guy was on the outside, then one guy got thrown out, then another guy kind of sneaks in and fights that guy. It wasn't any 2-on-1 stuff like that either. It was just 3 guys just swinging for the fences at each other, and I thought, you know, that was great. But like I said, the match just went a little too long. Damian Priest was pretty impressive. He did a dive over the post onto the outside into Killian Dain. Killian Dain did the barricade spot where he did a running slam into Damian Priest on the outside, or a crossbody I should say, not running slam, running crossbody onto Damian Priest to a barricade. Pete Dunne did his finger spot. They did some nice transition towards the end as well. Too many, you know, 2.9 counts though. Like, I understand the whole near fall thing, but I just feel like the last couple minutes were just a whole bunch of 2.9 counts that just got old. And, you know, by the time the finish actually happened, I think the crowd was just more surprised that was a finish than anything. And at the end, you know, Pete Dunne ends up sneaking the victory. Ends up pinning, I believe, Killian Dain at the end for the 1, 2, 3, and ends up, you know, like I said, of course, facing Adam Cole tomorrow night at Survivor Series for the NXT Championship. So very excited for that. But yeah, like I said, overall I thought it was a very good match. Just felt like it dragged way too long. And then from there, I would go to Finn Bálor taking on Matt Riddle. This match was very good as well, but just did not deliver to the expectations that I had it at. I really thought this match could be, you know, a killer match that these two go out there and steal the show, but really kind of didn't get that. It was kind of slow, and just never felt like it kicked into that next gear, in my opinion. You know, Finn Bálor was really working a lot of chin locks early on, and then, you know, Matt Riddle had his comeback, started laying his stuff in, you know, hit a beautiful final flash on Bálor, followed by a bro to sleep for a great near fall. Crowd loved that. He actually ended up hitting a Goldberg spear fall by the jackhammer for a near fall as well, which I thought was great. Bálor was pretty aggressive towards the end. Actually, more specifically towards the end, you know, Riddle ends up going for a swanton, or goes for like the corkscrew. Goes for the corkscrew at the top. Bálor gets his knees up, ends up hitting a drop kick in the corner, hits a 1916 1, 2, 3, defeats Matt Riddle. Like I said, thought it was a really good match, but I just felt like it never kicked into that next gear. But I will say, when it was all said and done, it did want me wanting more. So I guess this is kind of the first step. I don't know if it's a one-off or they're going to continue this or what, but this match definitely ended wanting me to see more of these two go at it. I feel like I didn't get all what I could have, so I definitely want a sequel to it. But like I said, for what we did get, I thought Bálor and Riddle definitely worked a really good match, just not to the expectations I was hoping, and I do think they can have a better match in the future. But, I mean, I guess Bálor does got to get back in that groove of the NXT style where it's, you know, a lot more focus in the ring than it is on Raw and SmackDown. So I guess it might be an adjustment period as well, but yeah, like I said, I just expected a little bit more from those two. And then, of course, we go to the main event, which was the big War Games. Of course, Team Ciampa taking on the Undisputed Era. Adam Cole, Bobby Fish, Kyle O'Reilly, Roderick Strong, Tommaso Ciampa, Keith Lee, Dominik Dijakovic, and a mystery fourth man. So, of course, the match starts off with Tommaso Ciampa as well as Roderick Strong. They work that until Kyle O'Reilly is the next legal man. He gets in there, and then followed by him, it's Dominik Dijakovic. He comes in the ring, you know, wreaks havoc for a little bit, but then they start working on him. And then, of course, Bobby Fish comes in, which, God bless Bobby Fish. Man, that guy is so entertaining, so funny. Just him, like, trying to get them open the lock, and just the little comments he makes make him so great. And then, of course, after Bobby Fish followed Keith Lee, who just absolutely cleared house. He definitely had a great standing in this match in terms of being put in the spotlight. He definitely had a great focal point and had a great moment for himself. So I think Keith Lee definitely impressed the most out of everyone in this match. And then, of course, Adam Cole comes out to be the final member of the Undisputed Era. And then, of course, there's a huge, 3-on-4 attack. They did the whole stare down where all men are looking at each other before they start fighting again. And, of course, obviously, Undisputed Era get the upper hand. And the timer counts down, hits 0, nobody comes out. And then a couple seconds later, the music of Kevin Owens hits. Kevin Owens is the fourth man, and it makes all the sense in the world given what happened this past Monday in Raw, where Triple H pretty much sent the Undisputed Era on Kevin Owens. It just makes sense that Kevin Owens is there to get revenge back on Undisputed Era. So absolutely loved it. Loved seeing Kevin Owens back in the ring with Adam Cole. Just great stuff in the match. Going forward, I thought was spectacular. Definitely was a great main event. Not my favorite War Games match, but definitely is up there. This is just all four men beating the shit out of each other, especially when Owens went in there. One spot I loved, I'm not sure if it was Lee or Dijakovic that did the O'Reilly, but they were elbowing O'Reilly between the rings, and he was bouncing off the ropes, and he bounced off the top rope, then he was bouncing off the second rope, and then he was bouncing off the bottom rope. I thought that was a great spot. Tables introduced, that actually played in the finish where every member of the Undisputed Era got put through a table. And, Kevin Owens did a beautiful frog splash through a table, which, by the way, Kevin Owens didn't kill himself in this match. Like, he didn't do a lot, but what he did, he nearly died. Like, he took a Panama Sunrise on the metal between the rings, and the thud he made, I thought he was dead. Which, by the way, Kyle O'Reilly took a bump, and his face flew into one of the legs of the table. Man, I thought it knocked him out. But yeah, the finish comes with, Cole and Ciampa scaling the cage, and Ciampa hits a air raid crash off the cage through 2 tables and pins Cole 1, 2, 3 right there. So Team Ciampa defeats Undisputed Era. Not really sure that I agree with that. I didn't agree with Undisputed Era losing last year. Definitely don't agree with him losing this year, but it was nonetheless a great match. I guess it sets up for Ciampa and Cole in the future. Obviously, it's one of the next probably big programs. Maybe the next takeover that's in February they might do that at. But yeah, hell of a War Games. They absolutely beat the shit out of each other, and I loved every second of both War Games matches. I thought the women's match honestly was probably more my favorite of the two, just because of the story behind it. But the men's War Games match was just equally as great, and definitely was a great way to end a hell of a show. Like I said, hell of a takeover. I thought it was a fantastic show. Not as good as some of the other takeovers, but this is definitely one of the better takeovers, especially for this year. I feel like this is definitely a top tier takeover in my opinion. But just a fantastic show. Definitely was a great way to kick off Survivor Series weekend. Some big shoes for Survivor Series to fill in tomorrow night. But you know what the stack card Survivor Series has, if it delivers, if Vince allows them to go out there and deliver, it definitely gets past the show in my opinion. That's just my opinion. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did, please feel free to leave a like below. And of course, on my Survivor Series review tomorrow night. I'll see you guys then. Thank you guys for watching the video. All day long,